Okay, so let's go through a few muscles today. It won't be too long for notes. I'll have you do a few worksheets and some homework questions. But we're gonna go through a couple of muscles in the trunk area. So these ones are superficial. These are the ones that are on the surface. As you can see, there are several layers to these muscles and they go really deep, but mostly you're going to be focusing on the ones that are just on the top layer. Those are the ones that are more familiar to us. Pectoralis major. You learn the muscles? Wow. That's impressive. I guess you had an intense PE class. Wow.
My classic question.
Yeah, I know what the question is already. All right. The pectoralis major, as we talked about, and then that is mostly it's for moving your arms. So those are the major functions.
Do we have to not write down origin and insertion?
You don't need to write down, yeah, origin and insertion. You don't need to write that down. Just write down the name and then what it does. So the pectoralis major adducts and flexes the humerus. So it brings your upper arm inward and outward. You're like flapping your arms. That's what it does. The rectus abdominis. So rectus means upright. So these are muscles that are going up and down. You can see the fibers. They're parallel to each other up and down. And this goes all throughout your trunk area. This flexes your vertebral column. And so this moves your back, from a straight line to side. There are also muscles that are to the side. You can see the obliques are slanted. You have external obliques and internal obliques. And so they're just on two different layers. External oblique is on the outside. Internal oblique is the one that's below that. You see they're different, they're crisscrossed. They're in different directions. So these all work together, external obliques, internal obliques, and rectus abdominis muscles. They all work to do the same thing, to move around your back, to flex your back, to rotate. And that's why they're in different arrangements. Different arrangements cause different movements to happen, different twisting motions to happen. You also have a large sheet, aponeurosis, around the belly region. So that's similar to a tendon. The fibers just converge into the membrane. We learn about the epimysium, perimysium. Those fibers converge to create tendons or aponeuroses. That's what we see right here in the white. It just helps keep the muscles together. It's a very tough fiber. It helps reduce the bulk of the muscle too. So this helps create room for organs. And that's the purpose of the white area right there. On your arm, biceps brachii, we talked about this before. So it's the primary muscle for flexing your arm. So it flexes the elbow and supinates the forearm. And so its purpose is for flexion and also for moving your palm outward to accept something, to have your palm facing upward, supination. And then below the biceps, you have the brachialis, which goes down to your forearm. And it's a synergist with the biceps. And so it aids in flexing your arm. All right, moving on down to the leg, the iliopsoas. So the P is silent on here, so you pronounce it iliopsoas. These are muscles that go from your vertebrae through the hips. Yeah, I mean, I think it's Greek. I think that's where that's from, and Greeks have a totally different rules pronunciation than we do. And ask the Greeks, I guess. But but English too has a lot of strange rules. I mean, it's just every language has their own rules for pronunciation. Yeah.
Can you go back to deltoid really quick?
Oh, deltoid. I missed that one. I didn't even talk about that one. Sorry about that. Yeah, deltoid. We totally skipped over this one. So really fast, let's go back to that. So deltoid is your shoulder muscle, goes along your collarbone. It wraps around to your arm. And so its job is to abduct the arm, bring your arm outward. Yeah, I don't know why the door's locked today. All right, so we didn't talk about this one before, but the deltoid is one place where they give you shots. So if you get a shot in the arm, most likely you're going to have the shot in the deltoid muscle there. So they choose your upper arm for that. And so when you get injections, it's important to relax your arm, because if you tense up your muscle, you're going to have more muscle damage, which will lead to more soreness after the shot. Do you have a question, or just?
Wait, what did you just say? So don't move your arm, or do you move your arm?
Well, you don't want to have your arm tensed when you have a shot, because if you tense up your muscle, you're going to have more damage to your muscle when it's tense, and it's going to be more soreness afterwards. So the more relaxed you can be, the better it's going to be after the shot. So back to iliopsoas. So it goes along the ilium, the top part of your hip, right here, down, it wraps around your femur. So its job is to flex the hip. You can see its movement right here. And so it can bring your femur, your upper leg upward. And so if you're crisscrossing your legs, if you're pulling your legs up to your belly, those would be examples of where you're going to be using iliopsoas to do that. So flexing the hip, bringing your legs upward. So walking, you're going to use iliopsoas for any time you move your legs. Adductor muscle. So you can see right here that you have 4 of them inside. And so adduct means to pull inward. So these muscles pull your leg back to the center. So even though that one's in green, these are all part of it. So most of them are going to have adductor in the name, so that helps remember what these do. The only one that doesn't is gracilis, but gracilis is also an adductor, along with adductor brevis. So brevis means what in Latin? Short. So it's a short muscle of the adductor group. And then you have longus, and then magnus. And so magnus means big, and it basically describes their size relative to each other, what their size is. And then gracilis goes along here. And so you can see it connects to the knee inward and to the hip. And so that allows you to pull your leg back to the center and to adduct. Yeah.
He has a question.
Does he?
Thought you did. You wanted to know what gracilis meant.
Actually, I'm not sure what gracilis means. I would imagine graceful, but I don't know how that would relate.
It doesn't mean whale.
Whale?
Yeah.
I've never heard of it meaning whale. What would,
Just kidding.
I'm really confused.
Yeah,
But I don't remember though why they call it gracilis. I'll have to look that up and see.
it's dumb to me.
I'm sure there's a reason for it.
No.
Sartorius, you can see right here, it wraps around from the ilium, the top part of your hip, down to your tibia along your knee. And so its job is to flex the thigh onto the hip. So you can kind of see based on the way the muscle is arranged what it's going to do. It's going to pull your leg inward. You can see it right here, what it does. And so it pulls up your lower leg upward. So if you're kicking something, for example, that'd be one reason why you'd use this muscle. Sartorius pulls your tibia upward.
Isn't that how you spell Jacob Sartorius?
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's what we're gonna
What
ask.
what's that from?
He's,
He's a singer.
Someone
A
else
singer?
knows, I'm not
You know
really
his
sure.
first name?
Never
is
heard of
Paul,
that.
though?
he's like, what is he, 17 or 18?
Really?
He doesn't know how to sing, but
Yeah.
Wait, then why is he famous?
good question.
Oh my gosh.
No, but that's like exactly how
You can wear my.
No, I hate that song.
Oh, I have heard that song. Okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah.
That's the
Not-
worst.
Oh, so he lip synced. That's why he became famous.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
What was the name?
Sartorius?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I can look that up. It's probably from Greek mythology, I think.
No, I was trying to be serious.
I'll look it up
I
and
need to
see.
know what this means either. Obviously, you've never thought something meant whale, and it didn't mean whale.
Why would
Why whale?
I don't even know how to
does Sartorius mean in Latin? Oh, of course, I know this one. Sorry. Yeah, tailor. It means tailor. Tailor. Like a clothing tailor. Somebody fixes clothes. And it's called that because tailors will sit down, kind of like, like they'll cross their legs and they'll work on clothing. And so that's why it's called that, because it's a position tailors would use to work on clothes. So I totally blanked on that, but that's what sartorius means. Quadriceps. So it's hard to see in this left picture, but on the right, you can see these are all the quadriceps. So four parts to it. So you can see 3 parts right here. The 4th part is behind these 3. So vastus lateralis. So it tells you where it's located. Remember, lateral side on the outside, medial side, inside. So vastus lateralis on the outside, vastus medialis on the inside, rectus femoris. So rectus means upright. Femoris, where would that come from?
Femur.
That's right. So it goes along the femur bone. And then the vastus intermediates. So that's going to be, it's all inside these muscles. So this is the muscle intermedius that's in between all of these ones that you can't see unless you take these out. So they all attach from the hips down to the knee. Some attach higher up, you can see one right here, but they're all attaching along the upper part of either your femur or the hip. And its primary job is for walking, for moving your legs. Tibialis anterior, that's the green one right here. And so it connects from the top of the tibia by your knee and down and wraps around your foot. So it connects to the first bones, like your big toe, the bones along there. So these muscles you can see, they wrap around, they go from side to side, and that wrapping allows it to have several movements it can do, several twisting or rotations it can do. So tibialis anterior, its purpose is to dorsiflex. Remember what that means? Dorsiflexion. To have your foot go upward. Remember you have plantar flexion and dorsiflexion. So and for inversion, and so you can see right here, that's what inversion looks like. Your foot goes to the side. And the muscles, several muscles are going to do this, but one muscle is the tibialis anterior. So its primary job is for rotation of the foot. Extensor digitoris longus, extensor digitorium longus, you can see that it moves from the fibula and extends to every one of your toes. And so the tendon moves out to your toes to extend your toes. It doesn't work on your big toe, but toes 2 through 5.
Do you mean like it's not possible to extend your big toe? Or is that a different-
Well, it's just a different muscle. Yeah, it's just not the same muscle. Extend your toes? Basically, it would just be like making them upright. Like basically just like, like doing that. Like, like your toes, like, where they're like flat, like doing that to your toes.
Oh, hey, I can make one.
You can, but it's just a different muscle that does that. And so this muscle controls 2 through 5, but there's a different muscle that would control number 1, like your big toe would be muscles on this side that would do that.
Can you move any of them individually?
If you're really coordinated, it's possible, somewhat, but because people have different muscle groups, different arrangements of muscles, where you can train smaller muscles along here to kind of stop these from contracting and this one to contract. So it's not easy to do, but if you have muscles that are on your feet that you can control, you can, what's the word? Reverse that movement or counteract the movement of this extensor muscle to try. So it's not easy. Most people can't do it, but it is possible if you have smaller muscles along here to somewhat control that movement. But your fingers have individual, it's very easy to control your individual fingers, but for toes, it's a lot harder to control individual toes because you don't have individual muscles to control them like you do for your fingers.
This is kind of gross,
Yeah.
but would it work if you continue to like slip your foot between your toes? And like, would you basically, I guess you wouldn't be able to bend the smaller parts.
Like you're talking about like having it cut this way
No,
or
like,
cut this way.
you followed the gap between your toes and like slid it.
Yeah. No, are you asking if you can still move your toes?
I don't know, I just didn't know if anybody does that. It seems like.
No, because you're so tender.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be like your fingers. I mean, it would work just like your fingers. So they would still work. You still have your tendons there.
It seems like that's something someone would do, like some crazy
No,
person.
it doesn't.
Yeah, I don't really know if that would help you though. Like, I don't really know why that would, I mean, because you wouldn't really be able to walk that well. Like, it would be painful to walk on your feet. I mean, yeah, I don't know if that would help anybody. And the thing is that if you were to cut the bottom part, you have this really large tendon that wraps, actually it's a ligament, that goes from your heel to the sole of your foot. And that creates the arch of your foot. If you're to cut that arch, then it's going to be hard to walk. It's going to be very painful to walk. You wouldn't have the bounce in your step that you normally
I
have.
was kind of just thinking if it would be possible for people to have like monkey feet, but.
Yeah, I mean,
Not here, you okay?
you wouldn't be able to walk very well. It'd be painful to walk.
But he is, his feet open, Maggie.
Fibularis muscle is along the fibula. You can see it right here. And it wraps down. I don't know if you can see in the picture or not, but this is the bottom part of your foot that you're seeing right here. This is the heel, and it's wrapping around the bottom part of your foot. And so that's along to your large toe right here. So its job is to plantar flex your feet. So have your foot outward and evert your feet. So there's a lot more muscles to go through. I'm going to stop here for today for notes and have you work on a couple of worksheets. In your book, work on just 2 questions for today, 20 and 21. And then for worksheets, do the worksheets that, we cover the muscles on the trunk area and the legs. So do the worksheets that cover the ones that we just went through in notes today.